Coincidence or something else, like campaign stops? 3 out of the 4 stops on President Obama's current energy tour are battleground states. Is the tour about energy or the election? Dick Morris joins us. Good evening, Dick.
Hi. Everything he does right now is about the election.
Well, I guess that everybody's sort of in campaign mode, Republicans and Democrats as well. But let me ask you about the president. How is he doing politically, and especially in those battleground states now?
Well, the problem he has is that his base is falling apart. In 2008, he got 67% of the Latino vote and 66% of the vote of people 18 to 29. Now his job approval, according to the latest Rasmussen poll, among Latinos is down from 67%, which was the vote share he got, to 41%. And among voters 18 to 25, it went from 66%, his vote share, down to 54%, his approval. So of the tripod that Obama's based on, African Americans, Latinos, and young people, is now only a unipod, and that's hard to balance.
In terms of that differential, 67 to 41 with the Latinos and with the young people, 18 to 29, 66 to 54, are those people likely to be shifting to the Republican Party, or are those stay-at-home people? Because that might make a difference, especially in a close election.
Sure. I think it's a little bit of each. I think with the younger voters, it's probably more staying at home. With the Latinos, it might be a shift. Remember, the Latino vote is very volatile in the United States. George Bush lost it to John Kerry by only 10 points. Obama carried it as against McCain by almost 40 points. So it's a very volatile vote going back and forth. And that may be why the Republicans probably are going to put Rubio on the ticket.
Why what are the Latino vote? What are they looking for? Is it jobs like most Americans, or do they have a special interest?
I think they obviously are focused on the immigration law and immigration reform. And I think by that token, on the one hand, they're annoyed at the Republicans for opposing it, and for many of them opposing it. But on the other hand, they look back, and George Bush fought for it. And Barack Obama, when he had 60 votes in the Senate and could have passed it in a heartbeat, elected not to do it. I think, though,
let me just interrupt you for that. But Senator John McCain had an immigration policy that would be appealing to Latinos, and they jumped ship on him and went to President Obama.
Sure.
But that was sort of a curious aspect of 2008.
Right. I think, though, that the Latino vote is far more focused on jobs and the economy than necessarily on the immigration issue. And I think that that's obviously hurting Obama. The other thing, Greta, that I mentioned to you earlier that is just absolutely incredible is that the Republicans are sweeping the U.S. Senate races, sweeping them. They need to pick up 3 or 4 seats, depending on who the vice president is, to control the Senate. Right now, there are 8 seats currently held by Democrats where Republicans are in the lead. And some of those are incumbent seats, like Missouri, where Sarah Steelman is 10 points ahead of McCaskill, 10 points ahead of McCaskill. Usually you'd say, well, she's behind, but McCaskill's under 50. In this case, Steelman has 51 and McCaskill has 41. In Ohio, Josh Mandel is 4 points ahead of Sherrod Brown, the Democratic senator. In Florida, Connie Mack is 6 points ahead of Nelson, the Democratic senator. If the election were held today, the Republicans would probably pick up 8 seats, lose 1 or 2, and end up with a net of 6, which is incredible.
Well, you raise it. I mean, Missouri, Senator McCaskill, that's a really interesting race in how to affect the general election, because she was very quick to come out and support President Obama over Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Then she embraced health care, and then no sooner had she embraced health care and been one of the sort of the stewards of it, that suddenly they passed something, I forgot what it was, in August of 2010, where like 93% of the people in Missouri were opposed to the health care, some overwhelming number. So she's really on the rails, so that it certainly looks like if she's losing 10 points now, Missouri doesn't look like it's going to be a stronghold for President Obama come November.
No. And my whole point, Greta, is that right now the head-to-head of the president against Romney is a little bit obscured because Romney's not the candidate and because they're going through this civil war that's going on in the Republican Party. Once that ends, I think Romney will move up smartly. But to understand what's really happening in terms of incumbents and Democrats in the United States, you look at those Senate races. I would expect right now that an incumbent senator might be under 50. He might be only 8 or 10 ahead of his Republican challenger. But you have Nelson behind Mack in Florida. You have McCaskill behind Steelman in Missouri. You have Tester behind Rayburg in Montana. You have Brown behind Mandel in Ohio. And then in open seats in North Dakota, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, and Virginia, you have the Republican ahead. This is setting up to be an absolute wipeout for the Democratic Party, and people aren't saying that, but if you look at the data, it's showing it.
Dick, thank you, and I'm going to pay more attention to Senate races and see what it's interesting thought of paying more attention to them. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you.